What do you think of the future of crypto? I mean, obviously, you must have complicated feelings since you ran a crypto company. You're in jail because of it, but you know a lot about the topic. You sort of feel like things are moving very fast on crypto. Do you think they're moving in a good direction? I know it's sort of weird to ask you this question, but I can't resist.
No, hopefully is what I would say. You know, you look at what the Trump administration said, you know, going into office, there are a lot of good things. There are a lot of things that, you know, were very different from the stance that the Biden administration took, that you know, Gensler and the SEC took. Obviously, the follow through is what matters, and that's the stage that we're at now, which is what will come of this. And I mean, not surprisingly, like changing the guard helps, but financial regulators, they're big, giant bureaucracies in the federal government. They're not used to changing overnight. And they have been playing a really obstructive role for, you know, a decade in crypto. You know, the US, it's 30% of the world's finance. It's about 5% of the world's crypto. And the reason it's entirely regulatory, it's just the US was unique in its difficulty to work with. So I think the big question is, will, you know, when rubber meets the road, like, will the administration do what needs to be done and figure out how to do it?
I mean, I remember when the concept of crypto first arrived in the popular press, and the whole idea was that this was a currency that could restore to the individual his freedom of commerce. I get to buy and sell things without the government controlling me, and I could do it privately. It would restore my privacy as well. And that obviously has never happened. It doesn't seem like it's ever going to happen, and I don't hear anybody say it anymore. And now it just seems like it's kind of another asset scam. Whatever happened to, I mean, these are broad brush statements, but whatever happened to the privacy thing?
It's a really good question. And there's sort of a related thing about the technology, right? Payments, remittances, like all the things that are not just an investment, but ways that crypto could actually be useful for the world. You know, they happen on longer timescales than investments do, basically. You know, with what social media has become, you see bubbles, you know, grow and pop on a daily to monthly basis. Technology is built out on a decade basis. So, you know, right now, crypto is not quite at a point where it could become an everyday tool of, you know, a quarter of the world or something. The tech isn't there yet, but it's not that far away. And if this is an if the industry keeps making progress rather than getting distracted too much by market prices, then, you know, 5-10 years from now, you could imagine a world where all of a sudden it is the case that anyone can have a crypto wallet, you know, a billion people could use it each day, with privacy, with security, fast, cheap, international, all the things that, you know, that was promised and that absolutely are distracted from by the latest meme coins.
You think world governments would allow that? I mean, if you actually allowed the world's population to conduct financial transactions without the control of governments, then governments would collapse instantly, wouldn't they?
Well, it's an interesting question. And there are a lot of degrees here about the level of oversight and control that a government would have. You look at something like Bitcoin, and the wallets are anonymous, but there is a public ledger of every transfer that happens. So it is possible for governments to have some level of knowledge without having control of it. That being said, not all the governments in the world view this the same. And the United States government over the last 30 years has taken one view towards control of, you know, not just the United States, frankly, but the world's monetary, you know, dealings. And you see, I mean, a different viewpoint, much more authoritarian, but also much more insular in a lot of sort of dictatorships. But half the world doesn't try to have nearly the level of government involvement in day-to-day financial transactions that the United States has.
Do you have any money left after all this?
Well, basically, no. The company that I used to own, maybe I still do own, I don't know, it's in bankruptcy, had nothing intervened. Today, it would have about $15 billion of liabilities and about $93 billion of assets. So the answer should be, in theory, yes, that, there was enough money to pay everyone back in kind at the time or today with, plenty of interest left over and tens of billions left for investors. But that's not how things worked out. And instead, it all got embroiled up in a bankruptcy where the assets were dissipated incredibly quickly by those controlling it. They're siphoned off tens of billions of dollars worth. And it's been a colossal disaster. And I mean, not stopping that from happening is by far the biggest regret of my life.
So you knew everybody else in the crypto business. You're one of the most famous people in the business before the charges, before, all of this happened. Being as honest as you can, do you think you were the biggest criminal in the crypto business?
I don't think I was a criminal. So certainly the answer to that is no. I think the DOJ thinks that I may have been, but I don't share their viewpoint.
Well, yeah, you're in jail. They definitely, that's their claim anyway. But I wonder, and I'm not, I've certainly criticized your business and other businesses like it in the past. And again, I'm not even getting into the details of your case because it's like Byzantine. But I'm just wondering, do you think there's a lot of shady behavior in the crypto business? So, being honest.
Yeah. 10 years ago, the answer was clearly yes, or at least yes, relative to the scale of the industry. You look in the mid, 2014 to 2017 sort of era, and there is not, the industry is a lot smaller than it was today. And a lot of the transactions that you saw, or at least a higher fraction of them, were, well, different people use different words for it, but Silk Road, as an example, right? People purchasing narcotics online was a common use of crypto back 10 years ago or so. Obviously, there are always going to be criminals in any industry, but over time, the fraction of the industry that represents has fallen off really substantially, both because of sort of growth of other areas of interest in crypto, and also because of more government involvement on the anti-money laundering side. So yeah, there's still some, but it's not as prevalent as it once was.